But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of
Beauty. A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
That's right, Brett Walsh. You got to execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win. And there was a lot of winning going on this past weekend, Rob St. Clair. My name is Everett Delorme. That is Rob St. Clair from Chi-Town. This is the 9x9, the 81 square meters of the best volleyball content on the internet. And, we were talking about winning. I brought it up. A lot of winning going on this weekend. We had the Club World Championships go down. The NCAA women's volleyball season is done. And, of course, all the other leagues going around the world. But first and foremost, we got to start with the Women's Club World Championships going down in China. And congratulations to Eczacibasi. You guys are the champions, taking down Vargas in an epic 5-set match. Big shout out to my Canadian girl, Alexa Gray, for going 2 in a row. 1-1 last year with Liano.
Nice.
1-1 this year with Eczacibasi. So not many players can say they have done that. So that was awesome. And hey, this was a great match. It went all the way to the limit, 15-19. Three of the 4 sets ended 25-23. This was 2 powerhouses going to toe-to-toe. And I mean, it was what we were expecting from this tournament, Rob, given all the other teams in attendance. But great job by Eczacibasi getting that win.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since Eczacibasi has won a major trophy. I mean,
it has. You're right.
A long time. I remember last year they went undefeated in the Sultan Ar Ligi regular season, but failed to win a trophy. No Super Cup, no Champions League, no nothing. And here they are again, back on top of the world, and I'm sure that feels very, very good. Congratulations to Tijana Boskovic, the MVP of the tournament, very well deserved. Obviously, I did not watch a second of this tournament other than the final. Because why would you? I mean, predictably, every single match in pool play was a 3-dong. I think both semis were 3-1. It was never really in question that we were going to see an all Turkish final on the other side of the world, but I think this was the best match of the year on the women's side so far in club volleyball. This match was awesome. And I'm excited to see these two teams play more down the road once we get into the early part of 2024, because this is about as evenly matched as it gets. And we've had our questions kind of about both of these teams. Like, do they have it at the elite level? It's like, do they have that true top end level peaks to look like and play volleyball like some of the best teams in the world? And I think, at least for flashes of this game, we saw it. There was some really good stuff that went on in this game. And I mentioned Tijana Boskovic, 27 points on 322 attack efficiency. Pretty darn good. You know who was even better than that?
Jordan Thompson.
33 points. 33 points on 451 efficiency. Maybe the best match I've ever seen her play. Reminded me of as she was trying to carry Malonza last year to a Scudetto single-handedly in that final series. But Vakifben comes up just short, and we're going to have to talk about the outside hitters, Everett, because these numbers are glaring.
What is up with Gabby?
I don't know, dude.
This is what I want to know, because this is someone who we have like for a long time we've known that Vakifben has been Gabby's team, and they rise and fall from her. It doesn't matter who's on the right side. It doesn't matter if it's Hawk. Doesn't matter if it's a Gonu. It doesn't matter now if it's Jordan Thompson. But it has mattered a little bit this season, and Gabby just hasn't quite been there. She hasn't been that firebuster that we expect, in serve receive offensively. Like there's just something missing there, and it's a little tough to watch.
It is a little tough to watch. So Gabi, 16 points, 13 for 39 attacking with 10 errors. 0.77 efficiency is very unlike her. And I don't have any passing stats because, God forbid, Volleyball World in their flagship club tournament puts out a respectable stat report. That would be ridiculous. Yeah. But
it's really too much to ask, Rob. It's really outside of the scope of our capabilities in this modern world. Passing stats, digging stats.
No. Ridiculous. We're not going to do any of that. But Gabi's offensive number is not good at all. But even worse, Ali Franti, 4 points, 3 for 19 attacking with 4 errors, negative efficiency in the championship match. That's horrific. And on the other side, Eczacibasi's 2 outside hitters. Alexa Gray, like you said, Everett, very, very good, 17 points on 342 efficiency, 16 for 35. But low-key, Hande Baladin is having an amazing season. She's
Honda's
having
been good.
a
Honda's been good.
fantastic season. 19 points, 17 for 39 attacking, hit 257. Like, you can't ask really of her more than that. Passed the ball well to the eye test because we don't have statistics, but yes, Boskovic is ranked slightly higher than Thompson in terms of global opposites right now. Thompson outplayed her. Jordan Thompson was the best player in this match, but it was the outside hitter support to me. And I think Elif Shaheen outset John Suozbai. We can talk about that in a minute. But the outside hitter difference was lopsided. I do not know what's going on with Vakif Bank's L2 position. It's a problem.
Yeah, you could tell that Shaheen just had more options that she could go to. That offense was spread out a little bit more. And Boskovic, like, she just had room to swing away, but like so did Gray. Like, so did Jack Casal, who I thought was fantastic with 8 kills as well. I love her. I know that there's some people who are calling for her to be on the dream team. Afterwards, we can talk about that. Afterwards, I know the Discord was up in arms about it, but it was clear to me that this was a team effort from Eczacibasi, which is not as much as, like, we haven't seen much of that from them this year. Not so much this
years.
It's mostly been get the ball to Boskovic, right? It's get the ball to Boskovic, and this year they didn't really need that. So I mean, big up for Eczacibasi.
Totally. I completely agree with going with Elif Shaheen as a starting setter, by the way. We were talking about it a couple of weeks ago that for some reason, every team that she ends up on, she somehow finds her way as the backup setter. And then when she plays, she makes her teams better. That's Turkish national team. That's Eczacibasi now sitting behind Naz, at least for the first part of the year. And not anymore, in my opinion. I think she was the best setter in this match and in this tournament. Despite what the dream team would have you believe. And yeah, Sinead Jack, really good, 5 blocks. Also, I mean, Chako Bogu on the other side, 16 points with 6 blocks. So she was everywhere. It was good to see her back, top level competitive form in a big match. But Eczacibasi, you're right, is way more complete, way more well-rounded than we've seen for the last, I don't know, in the Boskovic era, the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, very much so. Like, Hande Baladin is really stepping into her own, and like, as you said, like, this is some of the best ball we've ever seen from her. And when you're thinking, when you think out of the context of club season, you think back into the national team season, because this is volleyball and that's what we do. Club season doesn't matter at all, according to everyone in the volleyball world. Obviously, that's sarcasm, but like, that's a really good look for Turkey too. When you see Baladin playing the way she is, and if you can have her be solid, Karakurt, well, we'll see, and then we'll see what Melissa Vargas's health status. But that's a really good look right now for Turkey, and I mean, a really good look for Turkey in general. I've really liked so far, Rob, and how in the 2020s we've seen the shift from the traditional powers of Italy to different powers, both on the men's side and the women's side, with Poland and Turkey. So love to see the game expanding like that.
Yeah, this is cool. This is a good display for Turkish women's volleyball. I mean, we were talking about a couple weeks ago, whatever the last like big week of Women's Champions League was, when both of these teams got beat by good Italian opponents, and Vakif Bank got completely destroyed by Malonza, and Eczacibasi got beat by Scandigi. We're like, all right, is maybe this isn't as much of a race at the top as we thought between Italy and Turkey as far as best club leagues in the world on the women's side. But this was a very, very good display of volleyball. I really enjoyed watching this back. I obviously didn't watch it live because it was at 5 a.m. my time. But what I'm wondering now is, how deep can these two teams go in Champions League? Because as we know, despite this being the Club World Championship, as it's called, this is just an appetizer for more serious tournaments down the road. Like, this could be a Turkish Cup final preview. Maybe I have no idea how that bracket works. I think they draw it randomly. It's very weird. But maybe these two teams will play in that tournament. And then who and when will they run into in the Champions League, these two teams? Because they're going to make it out of their pools. There's a great chance that neither of these two teams win their pools in Champions League. And how is that going to go? I'm really curious. But for now, the competition level of this match was, I think, the best women's volleyball match this year, and I just really enjoyed watching it.
Very. I'm with you on that. Rob, who won the Turkish Super Cup earlier in the year?
I think it might have been Fenerbahce.
It was
crazy?
Fenerbahce. It's so interesting.
No, sorry, Vakif Bank 3-2
over Fenerbahce.
Yeah, over Fenerbahce.
Okay, and Eczacibasi wasn't in the Super Cup at the beginning.
Right. Yeah, it's only they only play one match. It's not like a tournament.
Okay. Well then, there's just such a toss up right now between the top 3 teams in Turkey, and I absolutely love it. Right, especially once Melissa Vargas is coming back. Can we just say that?
Glad you brought her up, because she plays for Tianjin in China, who is in this tournament, and without her, with only Li Yingying as their only player, Tianjin had just no chance of touching either of the 2 Turkish teams. They did win bronze, good for them, but over whatever Brazilian team they played in the bronze medal match, but doesn't matter. Yeah, I think Melissa Vargas's shoulder is a really serious concern. I would like somebody in the chat or in the Turkish channel in the Discord or whatever, figure out what the latest is, and figure out like what the timeline of the prognosis is of her injury. Because I bet I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. If you're the Turkish Federation, tell her sit out the rest of the club season. Don't play club 100%. This year. You've got Olympic gold to go try and win, and she is, I think, maybe the best, but definitely the most important player in the world to her national team.
100%. And let's be honest, it's even more so because you made that change. You threw away your former nationality, which is Cuban, to take on the Turkish nationality, and there's only one reason to do that. It's the Olympics. Right. No one does that to win a European championship. No one does that to win a world championship. No one gives a shit. Right. If you ask Leon right now if he cares about winning a Euro volley earlier this year, I don't think he does. Right. He wants to win an Olympic Games, and it's going to be the exact same thing for Melissa Vargas. So yeah, absolutely. Take a seat. Don't play. Rob, do we want to talk about the Dream Team?
God, we sound like broken records at this point, dude. Now, so people in the Discord were tagging us, being like, guys, you have to talk about how bad this is. To be really transparent, I only watched the final, and I did not watch a single match the rest of this tournament. So I will say Li Yingying being the one player from Tianjin as the 3rd place team, obviously that tracks. And Boskovic being the MVP as the best player from the winning team, that totally tracks. But I'm looking at the 2 middles. Ivana Stevanovic and Zara Gunesh were not the 2 best middles, even on their own teams.
No.
Jaka Bogu and Sinead Jack Kassal were far, far better. Far better. And
Gunesh had 7 points.
What are we doing? And not to put Hande Balanin on the Dream Team either makes just no sense. And I know how the Dream Team works, but I feel bad for Jordan Thompson. She deserved a spot in some capacity.
Yeah, this is very much it really sucks for Jordan Thompson, the fact that she wasn't there, because she was outstanding.
She was amazing. She was automatic in the final.
The fact that when you look at this Dream Team and in the finals, 3 of the top, only one of the top 5 scorers is on this actual Dream Team, that's Boskovic. Gabi, who does not look happy in this picture, by the way. She looks so mad. I really wish we had the ability to zoom in on her face right now, because she looks livid. And for good reason too. Are you gonna do a little bit of technical genius and figure this out?
I'm gonna try.
But yeah, this Dream Team is okay. A little bit closer.
Maybe not as bad as we thought.
Maybe not as. There's a little bit of an upturn in the side there. Gunesh and Li Yingying are all smiles. But yeah, this is a bad Dream Team.
It's terrible.
Whoever decided to make this is just doesn't really know what's going on.
Oh God, it's just so typical for anybody making these decisions to have never watched a second of volleyball in their lives. It's just so painful.
Yeah, and like the stats are saying, like, is it possible to give the opposite to Thompson and MVP to Boskovic? And that's exactly what happened in 2019 between Hawk and Agonu.
Well, that's what
right?
should happen anyway. Like you should be giving a dream team to 8 players. There should be 8 players, not 7.
This
You
is a
pick
joke.
seven players, one of each starting position, and then an additional player as the MVP. That's how it's even worked in the past. Like, why aren't we doing that here? Because Jordan Thompson deserves a spot. Hande Baladin deserved a spot. Sinead Jack and Chaco Bogu both obviously deserve spots. Like this, bad choices again and again and again. And I'm happy to not have to worry about this garbage until VNL. No more Volleyball World Tournaments. Get them out of my sight for the next several months at least.
Yeah.
Gross.
Absolutely, no more of this boomer and trench coat and boomers as has been popping up. Rob, one thing to mention though, it does seem like the chat is coming through with a lot of Vargas information. Looks like she's looking for a return to VNL and will not need surgery.
Great, good news. And yeah, somebody says that the second half of club season, big question mark. Sit. Don't play.
Sit.
Don't play. Don't play. Don't do it.
Yeah.
I trust her, Vargas, and the federation to make the right choice on that. There's no point in her coming back to play for Fenerbahce. Like they won the Sultan Ligi last year. They had a good run in Champions League. They have Magdalena Stysiak. Like don't bother. Sit her down the rest of this year.
Absolutely. All right, Rob, from one championship to another. This one, well, first and foremost, you have to give a big shout out to the Texas Longhorns, back-to-back national champions. When you start your season 5-3, I remember them losing games earlier on, be like, oh, Texas is done. You don't you don't lose 3 games and early on like that and then go on to go make a national championship final. So big ups to Texas in one of the most dominant national finals I've seen possibly ever. Set 1 was good. Sets 2 and 3 were trash. I actually didn't mind it though because I had some plans, so it made me be able to get things together earlier. But wow, Rob, first and foremost, what were your initial thoughts of this match here?
This sucked. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This was supposed to be, and it still was. This was a great celebration of the success of NCAA women's volleyball this year. It was a massive year. The numbers have been pouring in from like ESPN viewership for the tournament and viewership for the whole season and attendance and 92,000 people in Nebraska earlier this year, and even like putting the finals on ABC on Sunday, like in the middle of an NFL regular season day, still drew 1.7 million. Like amazing success for the game. This was the worst NCAA championship match I've ever watched. This sucked.
Terrible.
This is so bad. And Nebraska, a team full of freshmen who was the best team in the country all year, collapsed in epic fashion. And we're in a celebratory mood, like yay volleyball, yay women's sports, yay whatever. If we're going to celebrate the sport the way we are, we need to hold these athletes and hold these teams to a higher standard, because this was the worst NCAA final I've ever seen and the worst passing performance I have ever seen in a volleyball game ever. 12 aces for Texas. Every one of them a shanked float serve.
5 for Asia O'Neal.
including 4 in a row in the second set, which basically slammed the door on the match. Like that once she went on that run, that was it.
Yeah, because even in the first set, Rob, like it started a little bit ugly. Texas got off to that 4-0 run, but then it was like 6-6 again. And I was like, okay, Nebraska was able to close that gap.
It was like 10-7 Nebraska in the second.
Yeah, it was. It was like it wasn't 10-7 Nebraska. I think it was 10-7 Texas, but they were there the entire time in the first set. There was that controversy with some calls at the end. At the end of the first, we saw a red card for the Texas bench. Like there was a little bit of emotions there. But to me, Rob, like the semifinal and the final was 2 very similar games. And like, let's be honest, Nebraska got Piacenza'd. right? Like they went out there and served the leather off of this ball, and we can actually say that because the women still actually use a leather ball.
Yeah, that
But
molten.
they did the exact same thing against Wisconsin on the weekend too, and on Thursday night too. Like they just served the leather off the ball, and that was an epic. That one went to 5, right?
No, it was 4. It was 3-1.
3-1. I do think that like that matchup between Texas and Wisconsin is better because Wisconsin is a much better blocking team than Nebraska, right? The problem is with this one is that Texas broke the identity of Nebraska.
Shattered it.
Nebraska is a ball control team. That's what they talked about themselves all year. That's what they talked about the broadcast beforehand. Like Nebraska was a ball control team, and they shattered it from the baseline. And then no one could touch Madison Skinner. No. She was going straight OT all day long.
Yeah, she was.
Like, Nebraska could have been like pulling in like 9-man blocking. You know, they could have literally put the entire team up there, and it wouldn't have made a difference. Madison Skinner was an absolutely different level in this one, and she was phenomenal. I do
very literally, she was straight up, like you said, straight up over the top of full 3-person blocks, and 100%. her big ball maybe the best. Maybe the best pipe hitter I've ever seen in NCAA women's volleyball. I can't think of a better one. Like maybe like Josiana Presley from Baylor a few years ago. Like Madison Skinner was unbelievable this entire tournament run, and like the Stanford game in the quarterfinal, the Wisconsin game, she basically put this team on her back. Tournament MVP, very well deserved. But like somebody just said, everyone's saying in the chat, came down to serving and passing. Nebraska's identity was broken. They looked rattled. They looked like they did not belong there. They looked like they forgot what a volleyball even was. Their reception mechanically was like jarringly bad to watch.
It deteriorated as the game went on. And I would have liked to see maybe some subs, throw something in, like do something different.
I was calling for the same thing.
And it's weird because going into this match, Rob, I was just like, why am I blanking on the Nebraska coach's name right now? I was
John Cook.
John Cook. I was thinking Dunning in my head, and I knew that was wrong. But like in going into this game, I was like, if Nebraska pulls this game off, what do we talk about John Cook? How do we talk about him? Like where do we put him in the echelon of volleyball coaches?
Because right behind Russ Rose, maybe.
No, I'm talking about like where do we put him up against Santarelli?
Oh man,
right? Because but like this is a guy who's an absolute legend. How many national team players has he created? Look at the program he's created and the buy-in. And if you were to cap it all off by doing this incredible run
with
in
like
the greatest season with all freshmen, that is not talked about enough. The fact that this team, I think we really need to give some credit to Nebraska. Yeah, they got shit kicked in the final, but like that's gonna happen. I do think that it was more about what Texas was doing and the pressure that Texas was putting on, and there's only one team in the country that could put on that amount of pressure on Nebraska and on Wisconsin, and I think it's Texas. But like you have to give so much credit here to John Cook and the rest of this Huskers team, because like you made it there with freshmen, you made it there with athletes who were brand new. Now I do think this has some repercussions because now I'm seeing that like there's already some announcements that like there's a bunch of Huskers upperclassmen and like lowerclassmen who didn't see the floor this year who are already in the transfer portal, right? Which is something I kind of hate about the NCAA now. It's like, oh, I didn't get played in my first year, I'm just gonna go into the transfer portal. Like no, like stick it out, tough it out, like fight for your spot. But all in all, like I do think a lot of credit needs to go to that Nebraska coaching staff and the program that they have, but like big ups to Texas, 2 in a row. The Longhorns are here, and next year they're going to be in the SEC, and that is going to be interesting.
Yeah, that will be interesting. I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I don't think that. So somebody in the chat said that it's exactly how Fenerbahce beat Conegliano last year with service pressure. I completely disagree. Last year's Fenerbahce against Conegliano was Melissa Vargas and Irina Fedorovtseva tearing the cover off the ball, jump spin serving. They were hitting varieties of serves that nobody in the world of volleyball on the women's side had ever seen before. That was the level of service pressure that was very literally unprecedented.
Okay.
Texas is hitting float serves, dude. And that every single one of these 12 aces that they got was somewhere close to the midline of a receiver that they just flung their platform at and shanked into the stands. This was not a different level of service pressure. This was everyday stuff for NCAA women's volleyball. Everyday stuff. If you're a team playing in the Final Four, you should be able to hit solid, low, flat float serves just over the tape. And I mean, I spent 5 years in a gym with an NCAA women's team. I know how fast the ball gets on you on a women's net when it's float served low and hard like that. Like, it's hard. The ball gets on you fast. No, it sucks. But this is the Final Four we're talking about. Like, these are serves that you've seen every day of your career. This was not a different level of serving. This is a breakdown on Nebraska's side. This is a breakdown on Nebraska's side, not some like otherworldly serving performance from Texas. It was an incredible example of mental pressure put on from Texas.
Very much so.
I will give them that. That was a mental domination of a more experienced championship pedigree team against a team of very talented freshmen, and who were able to shatter Nebraska's identity as being a first contact team. That I absolutely agree with. That was a mental domination. But the serving and passing thing was a straight up shattering and a mechanical breakdown on Nebraska's side.
I do see some people being like, some Texas fan being like, being a freshman has no bearing. Being a freshman has all of the bearing. Are you kidding me?
These people are 18.
Being the freshman has all of the bearings, especially now when you're talking about like how many years have some of these girls on Texas been playing because of the COVID years. Like, you have girls who are legitimately in like their 7th year.
Yeah, Asia O'Neal's like 25.
Yeah, it's not like you've got a bunch of like Texas homers in the chat being like, oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about, but like, hey, it's big ups for Texas, like, absolutely,
for sure. Asia
but
O'Neal was unbelievable. 5 aces from a middle is very impressive. Her attacking numbers were not that good, and we can talk about that in a second. Maddie Skinner was by far the best player in the country the last 3 weeks.
Also, people like, we're not discrediting Texas here. Like, Texas won this fair and square.
Yeah.
They were the best team, no doubt about it. It's not like we're sitting here saying they don't deserve it. We spend two minutes talking about the other teams, and you guys all freak out in the chat. Chill out.
Yeah, Texas deserves this.
This is why people in the chat are being like, why do everyone hate Texas? It's because you're fans. That's exactly why. You are toxic. Jeez.
Well, I'm happy for Texas because, I mean,
too.
like you said, Nebraska, there have been a whole lot of dumb rumors coming out of people transferring. John Cook, their coach, made some comments like kind of really and that seemed really salty and petty and bad sportsmanship, talking about the Texas program and how they build things, and I just didn't like how any of that went down. But again, this was a collapse by Nebraska in the final. Texas was the superior team mentally. They
and physically.
No
one could play with Madison.
No, absolutely not.
No one could play with Asia O'Neal.
They completely bent the game to their will. Harper Murray, Merritt Beeson were terrible. Allie Battenhorst was horrible. And Texas did all of this with a freshman setter who doesn't jump set. This is something that blew me away. Ellis Swindle is a freshman on Texas. She does not jump set ever. And I can only imagine how Texas would be if they had a actual high-level setter, because, I mean, sure that they won a national championship with this girl, but the offense that she ran was just not very good. Her complete inability to locate the ball to the middle was crazy to me. Like, I can't wait for Asia O'Neal to go to the pros and the real pro volleyball or whatever, and then the national team, and get to see her attack with a real setter, because this girl just could not locate her the ball. And Texas did all of this anyway. Like, this should have been a pretty winnable matchup for Nebraska if they didn't collapse in first contact.
Yeah, they collapsed first contact, they collapsed second contact, they collapsed third contact. Like, it was bad over there. That it was Texas maybe can't read, but defo can play volleyball.
I like that.
Yeah. Anything else to
Oh, man, this was just such an awesome season. It was the game of volleyball in the U.S. is growing at an unprecedented rate, and there's just so much to be celebrated about NCAA women's volleyball. And this just was not a good showing on the court. This was not a good on court showing for the
everything else, right? You had the highest rated semifinal games. That both the semifinal games were they were like 1.1 million. They were 50% up year over year from the last year. The biggest games ever watched on ESPN for volleyball. Absolutely love that. That's huge. You go to the final, 1.7 million on ABC, right? That's the biggest game ever watched. Same thing for the final for volleyball. You 100% love that. Nebraska's home attendance record this year was like something like 230,000.
Ridiculous.
The numbers on ESPN, everything was so good all year long for the NCAA. The storylines were back. But it just there was one thing that let go. Man, if we had seen a 5-setter in this, especially because there's just stories about the transfers between the two teams and all of these things. If you want to know more about it, I know Out of System has done some podcasts with some former Texas players who moved to Nebraska, or was it the other way around? I can't really remember.
I think it's gone both ways. I mean, these used to be two bitter, hated rivals before all the realignment when they both played in the Big 12 10 years ago. They were two volleyball powerhouses that hated each other, but there was some overlap there. And same goes for all the other sports. Then there was the Jordan Larson coaching against David Hunt storyline, which was very interesting, and we heard some stuff in the Discord about that I didn't even know. So much great lead up. Everything about this entire tournament and everything off the court except for the final was so good. Everything was just fantastic. I'm thrilled with how this game is going in my country. I love it. It's just unfortunate the on court product in the final. It's just unfortunate.
It was someone else mentioned in the chat that it reminded me of the U Sports men's finals last year, where Sherbrooke made that amazing run and then just got dummied by Trinity. And it was the same thing. Serve receive just broke down. But yeah, once again, big ups to Texas. I don't understand why people think we're hating on Texas. We're really not.
Nope.
Big fans of Texas volleyball. So I absolutely love that for them. All right, Rob, let's jump now from the NCAA to, you want to jump to Italy first? Is that where we want to go? This one was a big weekend in the Italian SuperLega. There's a few that we want to talk about here, but mostly we have to talk about Trento dominating Perugia on Sunday, and then a fun one between Piacenza and Lube. Let's talk first about Trento versus Perugia. No Leon in this one for Perugia, and Trento looked really, really good. Trentino looked really good, and they are the best team in Italy right now, hands down.
And in my opinion, so somebody said in the Discord that we should do something on next week's show that I agree with, and that's pick an all-star team of the first half of the season, because we're coming up on, I think, actually this week in the SuperLega might have been the halfway point. No, okay. Sorry, this coming week. This coming weekend is week 11. That's the halfway point. So next week we'll do an all-star team in the first half. My MVP of the league in the first half is Alessandro Micheletto.
Yeah.
He's been unbelievable. And this one, 13 for 21, no errors, passed the ball lights out, and ripped 4 aces. The spectacular game from Alessandro Micheletto. Was the best player on the floor on either team. And if he keeps playing like this, so we had that one Trentino lost to Modena, but if he keeps playing like that, man, I don't know who they're going to be pushed by this year.
You know who I also thought was I mean, he, in my opinion, should have won the MVP of this game? Rich Lickey. He was unbelievable. He was 16 for 30, 21 points. He led the game in scoring. He was making digs too. He made multiple digs, especially what set was it? Yeah, because they lost the second. It was in the third where he was making some digs that were just unreal, chasing some ball downs. You could tell it was a bit of a revenge game for him against his old team, of course, in Perugia. I do think that Bentara was still pretty fantastic, though. 16 for 27. He hit 59%.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That is also pretty good. But Trento right now, just looking really solid, really solid. And of course, still a little bit of struggling injury-wise on the Perugia side. Of course, no Leon. He was on the bench, but didn't participate in this one. Rob, do we think that is Trentino the best team in Italy right now?
That's I mean, let's look at the standings to try and figure that out. It's either of these two teams. And I honestly don't know who I would give it to. Perugia has 2 losses. They lost the other one, the 5-setter to Lube early on in the year. Yeah. Trentino did get beaten 4 by Modena a week or so ago. It's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. I mean, if it isn't Trentino versus Perugia in the Scudetto final, I would be shocked. I think these are by far the 2 best teams in the league. But I don't know who the best is. And I hope that they play again very, very soon so that we get more data on it. Maybe like the Italian Cup final would probably be the next time. But sure, we can give it to Trentino for right now. They're probably going to finish the first half of the regular season atop the standings, and that's not to be discounted. I really do think Alessandro Micheletto is the best player in the league right now.
100%. I fully agree. He's playing at an absolutely different level, and there's no doubt about that. Do we think that the return of Leon move the needle significantly? There's no doubt in my mind that it moves the needle for Perugia, but does it move the needle significantly? I'm not convinced it does.
I'm not convinced it does either, because Kamil Semeniuk and Ole Plotnitsky have been playing great all year. That's the nice part about having 3 world-class outside hitters, is that you can just do that. Maybe it adds a level of fear from the service line that only Wilfredo Leon can uniquely bring. But does it move the needle significantly? No, I wouldn't really say so. Perugia's really good. Trentino's really good. And I think, like, if they were to play in a best-of-5 match series, it would probably go the distance.
Yeah, I think it would go the distance, absolutely, too.
This was just an amazing execution match from Trentino in all phases. Like, their numbers are spectacular. 9 aces, 17 service errors is very good. 51% positive passing against Perugia is very good. Their offensive numbers were great. 7 blocks. Like, Spertoli set an awesome game. Just about every individual piece was working. Like, Lavia was good. Kozamernik and Podrashinin were both good. Like, there's just no real weaknesses this particular game for Trentino.
You need to break them. Like, if you want to beat Trentino, you need to break them. And right now, I don't think Perugia can do that.
I think they can do that. I just don't think it happened this particular game.
I just haven't seen it from Perugia much this season, right? Like, I haven't seen that dominant play yet from them.
Perugia did beat them they beat them 3-1 the Super Cup semis. Back in late October. So maybe there's that. This game was in Trento, by the way. I wonder if the next time, if they played, if it was in Perugia, if it would be any different. But like, this is great volleyball between 2 awesome teams. Like, I don't really have any more big conclusions than that. This was probably the most high level match of the year. Maybe that Perugia Lube 5-setter, like that week where they played twice in like a Super Cup final and regular season, that was insanely high level as well. But like, this is just sick volleyball from both these teams.
It really was. I just like how it sets the tone for the rest of the year. It is very much a toss-up now between these 2 teams. I think everyone else is kind of not falling back, but lagging behind a little bit. And then we got to see that perfectly in the Lube versus Piacenza match that went on literally at the exact same time. One started at 9:45. Like, you start like this is.
Take the glasses off. Get ready.
You can see it in the Plus Liga. They schedule their matches so that everyone can watch them. You see it in the NFL. Playing in that primetime match means something. Playing Monday night, playing Thursday night, it means something. Schedules mean something. Commentators mean something. They have an effect. Not in volleyball, though. That doesn't matter in volleyball, though. two of the biggest games in the first half of the season for the Italian League. Hey, let's start them 15 minutes apart. It doesn't matter. One of them's going to be on TV. The other one won't. It don't matter. Figure it out. I'm so sick and tired of this. Like, why is it that I can't watch 2 games in one day? Like, why not just put them back to back? You started them early. Like, they're not even in the prime time slot, right? Have one start in the afternoon. Have one start afterwards. Boom. Double header. Love it. Figure it out, boomers.
It's just classic Italian. Everything is that every major decision in that entire country is made by people over the age of 75. And this is just so stupidly old school. And I hate it so much that they just don't care about any of the fan experience except the people that go to the games. They don't care about the millions of people that have Volleyball World TV subscriptions watching around the world. They don't care about anything. They're so blinded by the flaps of the trench coat that are covering their stupid eyes. I hate it. Very frustrating. This game was good too. Piacenza versus Lube. I went 5. This was great. We had Yuri Romano came back for Piacenza, and they looked like a more complete team. Imagine that. Francesca, and even without Yolande Leal, Francesca Recine was super good. Super good. 11 for 29. Very few errors. 3 blocks and an ace. Like, he was awesome. We saw a little bit of Romeo Alonso, which was great to see. And
I need to see more of him.
Me too.
I need Piacenza to figure some things out, and I need to see more of Romeo Alonso. No doubt about it.
If you have Recine in the starting lineup, your Italians are Recine, Romano, and whoever the libero is, Scanferlo. So you can play Simone and Alonso as the middles, and they decided to do that in I think the second set, and it looked awesome.
Yeah, I mean, hey, like they switched some things up. It looked like it was going to be all Lube early. Right, like they were dominating. Piacenza comes back nicely and just starts pushing it. Ronnie was really pushing for that that Piacenza reverse sweep. Unfortunately, we didn't really see it. But yeah, this was just another good game all around. I do think the appropriate team won, though. Like, I do think that Lube is better than Piacenza at the end of the day, especially when they don't have Leal. Like, that's going to be always going to be a big thing for Lube. Robert Landy Simone was a classic match for him. Offensively, he wasn't great. That connection with Brizard is not quite there. But once again, this is why I say that why Robert Landy. I said on the show last week, Rob, that, you know, there's 3 middles in the world that I really think can affect the game in so many different ways, and that's Robert Landy, David Smith, and Augustin Lozer.
Yeah.
I got so much pushback from Poland in the Discord, and they were all talking to me about Norbert Huber. Norbert Huber isn't even the best middle in Poland. Stop trying to tell me he's a top 3 middle in the world.
Not even a starter on his own national team.
Exactly. Like, figure it out. What are you guys talking about? Sure, he's had some really good games recently. He's been great, but like, he's not up to level of these guys yet. He needs to do it more consistently.
No, like Biniak is a great server and blocker. He's not that good, or he's a great server, obviously. Okay blocker, okay attacker. Kochanowski is a brilliant attacker, good blocker, decent server. Yeah, I agree with you. Loser, Smith, and Simone of middles who can contribute in all 3 phases. Like, those are the guys. And yeah, Robert Landy, 2 aces, 4 blocks. Like, just another day at the office.
Polish fans are as bad as Texas fans right now. Sorry.
You're good. I wanted to shout out Adis Lagumsha. I think he's probably been the best opposite in the league this year. 27 points against his former team. Now, he has a lot of former teams. Like, I think he went Milano, Piacenza, Modena, now Lube in that order. He was great. 27 points, 24 for 46, blocked 2 aces. Like, and took over the 5th set when it was time to do so. And I think he's just having an awesome year, and I'm impressed.
Yeah. Do we think Piacenza with Anastasi at the helm has a chance to get better?
No. More Italianisms, right? Like, you allow guys to fail upwards, and it's like, so I have a huge problem with the Green Bay Packers right now, Everett.
Whoa, this is news. If you guys aren't aware, Rob is a massive.
I have a huge problem with the Green Bay Packers because we employ a defensive coordinator by the name of Joe Barry, and Joe Barry is a complete stooge and should never have a job in the first place. And it reminds me of how coaching works in the Italian SuperLega, because the only reason Joe Barry ever got a job in the NFL in the first place is because he was married to the head coach of the Detroit Lions' daughter in the late 2000s. He got a defensive coordinator job for the Detroit Lions, the famous Detroit Lions team that went 0-16. They were the first winless team in NFL history. He was the defensive coordinator of the worst defense probably ever, and still is getting jobs to this day, because once you get there and you fail, people see like, oh, you've been a defensive coordinator before. Why don't we hire you? And the Packers defense is historically bad. It's the same thing as Anastasi. Anastasi took the most talented team maybe in volleyball history last year and engineered the greatest collapse we have ever seen.
And like, I think there's a lot of these Italian coaches, I think, that are just out there who had like 1 or 2 good seasons back in the day. But when you look at Anastasi's, like, Anastasi took a Champions League team in Warszawa and didn't even miss the playoffs the next year in the Plus Liga. And what does he do? He gets the best team in the world in Trentino. And what does he do with them? He goes undefeated the first half of the season, then 6-6 the end of the year, and they get kicked out in the quarterfinals and lose in the semifinals of the Champions League. How do you keep on hiring him?
I do not understand.
Hire me. I guarantee I'm a better coach than Anastasi. At this point, I could absolutely guarantee it, you know? But especially with a team like that, how much coaching do you need to do?
Ridiculous that he keeps getting hired, and it's very Italian, like I was saying, just very, very Italian that keeps getting away with this. Remember when he was the head coach of the Polish national team, and the instant they fired him, they won a world championship?
They literally fired him for someone who had never coached before.
Yeah, Antigua, right?
And they were just like, Antigua, you've been in Poland for a while. You know our culture.
You could do better.
You like us? You like it here? You like our team? Yeah, no, this guy's a stooge. Just come coach. Yeah, for sure. And what was the first thing he did? Was kick Driska off the team.
Man, I didn't think I was going to go into a rant about how bad the Packers defense is on this show, but I do think that it relates. It's very similar.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Piacenza continues to be like to Piacenza is a verb at this point. Like we've already been using it in the show and in the Discord, and we
set up the reverse sweep and then fall
and then blow it in the fifth. Good for the Piacenza though. They get a point. I think they're clearly the 4th best team in the league. I think, and Lube is probably 3. So this was another good match between 2 evenly matched teams. Elsewhere, Modena beat Catania in 5. I don't know why the heck they needed 5 sets to do this after beating Trentino the week before. That was pretty confusing.
Paul Buchgegger, 26 points.
Hey, good for him.
Yeah.
Man, pretty good numbers. Yeah, 24-43.
Also, Montagena may have heard you talk shit last week because he went 16 for 27 in this one.
There we go.
Yeah. Shaposhka was all right too, but you're right. Like Modena should not be going to 5 with Catania. The only team you're allowed to go to 5 with is Toronto because they have 6 points. They have 6 points on the season and no wins.
And another one this week. I'm glad you brought it up. And so they go up 2-1 over Milano in Milano, which is honestly like legitimately very impressive. They are, and then they completely fell asleep. They get destroyed in the 4th. 25-16. And then one of the most embarrassing 5th sets I have ever seen in volleyball in my life. It was 15-3. 15-3.
Oh.
15-3. How is that even possible? I think there was a.
That's like Vakif Bank playing against the Vietnamese team at the World Club Championships. That's what that's like.
It's like to win 2 sets and then lose 15-3 in the 5th is crazy. I think there was a 15-2 in the Lega Volley Femminile a couple weeks ago. Terrible. So Toronto, what do they have? Like 6 points and they're 0-10. That's impressively bad, or impressively like good and also bad, or bad and also good, or weird, or what? Like, yeah, they're 0-10 and they're not in last in the league. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
That will go to Catania, who also lost in 5 and got a much needed point, but they gotta pick it up here. I would say that, like, do we think Cisterna and Padova are that much better than those 2 teams beneath them?
Kind of. I think both of those teams, Padova and Cisterna, both of whom lost this week in 3-dong fashion, by the way. Both of them are teams that do well with creating teams that are more than the sum of their parts. Catania is just like, they're a brand new team to the SuperLega. They came up from the A3 division. Like, they had to kind of throw together a remotely SuperLega level roster. And I actually do think that they've been a little bit better than we expected. I mean, when we did the SuperLega preview show, we're like, this team's terrible. They're getting relegated for sure. Toronto is a mess.
Yes.
And they already fired their coach. And I don't know what more fixes you can have, but there's clearly some mental block to getting to 6 tiebreak sets and going 0-6 is something like we've never seen before. But Cisterna and Padova, I think, are better franchises than like better programs top to bottom than Toronto and Catania.
Yeah, absolutely. Without a doubt. I don't disagree with that whatsoever. I would like to see Kyle Russell get going for Toronto.
He's got to play better.
It's for me, like, the door is really starting to close on Kyle Russell on like a lot of different things. And if it doesn't get better, he should just go back to Korea.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him, but yeah, it's been a little difficult to watch for him and really all of Toronto this year. I don't have anything to talk about. Monza Padova and Verona Cisterna, I really have nothing to talk about.
No, those are all pretty standard. I mean, I'm a little surprised that Cisterna didn't push back more on Padova, or Verona, because we know how Verona can be. Did Keita play in this one? Let me check.
No, I don't think so.
Real quick. No, Amin had 14. Sani had 18.
Real briefly.
Francesco Sani, though, is this a guy that we need to start talking about in the context of Team USA on the left side? Because let's be honest,
not this quad, but
this quad is done. Like, this time next year, the quad is done. We're on to a new one. When you look at those extra spots, like past Russell, past Jashki, past TJ, like you have those 3 guys. I think he's making a name, like a case for himself here. Who else on the left side? Like, you're not going to go back to Garrett. He's going to be way too old for 2028. Cody Kessel's probably going to be the same thing too, right? Because he's like my age, so he's like in his 30s. Why not go with the young guy who's always been on the right side and now all of a sudden he's putting up numbers in the best league in the world?
I agree.
On the left side, I think he needs a shot. I want to see him on the roster this summer.
And there's a great chance that the U.S. will give a lot of new guys a look this VNL, which we'll talk about months from now. But the thing is that Sani's still a rookie. The sophomore slump is very real. Still, the ability to scout the kid on the left side is limited. So we'll see if he keeps it up. And he's also never played left side in the USA gym before. So hopefully the coaching staff is paying attention to this and is seeing him having success on the left in Italy and gives him a look when we get back into the gym in May. But that's a big if.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like we've talked about Jordan Ewert.
Yep.
I don't know. I think Sani's ceiling is higher than Ewert's. I really like Ewert.
I agree.
Don't get me wrong, but I definitely think that I think he should be given a look. Bring him to Ottawa. Why not?
I agree. Sure. Why not? I think that's it for SuperLega. Anything else, right?
No, that will be it for the SuperLega. We've got the last week of the regular season going down next week, or this weekend. Boxing Day, is it not?
Yeah, it's kind of a tradition in the SuperLega to pack a bunch of games on Boxing Day. So that's Boxing Day is what, Tuesday, right?
That sucks. That's a travel day for me, so that's not going to be good. I'll be flying back from Arizona on the 26th.
Nice. Yeah, well, I was going to say, we might want to do Wednesday for next week's show. How does that sound?
What's the? I don't even know. It's getting to the point of the year where I don't know the dates.
Wednesday's the 27th.
Okay, yeah, then I'm not available on the 26th. I'll be in an airplane.
Okay, so let's do that. But yeah, the last round of the first round of regular season games in Italy is this weekend, and then next week we can do like a little sort of a dream team in the first half of the year. Give some mid-season awards. Yeah,
we've also got a rematch between Milano and Perugia.
Spicy.
And that one, Piacenza is going to play Modena. Verona is going to play Lube. Cisterna versus Monza.
Toronto versus Catania. Relegation.
Oh, there we go. Nothing Rob likes better than a good old relegation battle.
That's must win for both of those teams.
Yeah.
Hey, Everett, what if you wanted to watch any of these games on Boxing Day? God forbid 5 of the 6 might all be at the same time. God, you boomers, get over yourselves.
And the worst is that like the one game that they're broadcasting is at a different time. So you could have another one. But hey,
hate it.
You know what? Business deals are tough, eh? Business deals are tough. Just can't figure it out.
God, it's the worst. All right, let's talk about the Lega Volley Femminile for a hot second. Obviously, most of the attention in women's volleyball. Yeah, how about them, dude?
Roma, goodness gracious, out there battling with Scandici. Let's go.
Been one of the pleasant surprises in all of volleyball. It's been fun for Roma. Although they did give up I'm looking at it right now. Gave up just a huge 2 huge runs in the 5th to kind of suck the lights out of any hope that they had. But taking the point from Scandici is nice, very nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, once again, I think we've talked about Roma quite a bit on this this show, just because like they've continued to impress us with how they show up.
Yeah, Scandici had to make a bunch of changes going into the 5th to play with foreigner limits and get they got Britt Herbots in there in the 5th, and Antropova dropped 29, and all good stuff. But yeah, shout outs to Roma for taking a point there. Also shout outs to Pinarolo somehow taking a point from Conegliano, and I didn't watch this, but I assumed that it was Conegliano's bench, and actually it kind of wasn't. It was mostly the usual suspects. Like he had Voloshin Hawk and still needed 5 to beat Pinarolo. So that was the first dropped point of the year for Conegliano, actually. 35 out of a possible 36 points.
Love it. Good. I mean, the fact that Conegliano has been like that is just awesome.
Yeah, very impressive. Yeah, we've got people in the chat saying that we have a big match in Champions League starting literally right now. Yes, we know. We'll talk about that in a quick second. What else in the Lega Volley Femminile? I didn't see a lot of other great games.
I didn't see much of it either, Rob. To be perfectly honest, it was not. This wasn't a big volleyball watching weekend for me. Got some other things going on.
Yeah, me neither. It was just NCAA, and a little bit of SuperLega, and that was kind of it.
Yep, very much so. So, looking at the standings here, Conegliano obviously still in first. On the women's side, Trentino all the way down there at the bottom. Bergamo is surprising. Like that was quite a decent team. Like weren't they a playoff team last year? Now they're all the way down in that relegation race. So that is a tough one.
Castle Maggiore, same thing. They were a playoff team last year. Micah Hancock is there now. They just got 3-donged by her old team Valafolia last week. Like that's bad. Cuneo's not good. Firenze is not good. Like there's a lot of, and then both Pinarolo and Roma, who were like Pinarolo was I think a point away from getting relegated last year, and Roma did get relegated 2 years ago and came back, and they're in playoff position. So good for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we talk about Champions League, because there is a game right about meow. There are a couple important things
literally right now.
That volleyballstore.com, Everett.
Absolutely. Head over to that volleyballstore.com to get 50%. Look at that. We're matching.
Love it.
Forgot that I had turned on the basically waiting for the Champions League game, and it just turned on in my ears as I was saying that, and I got distracted. That is the 9x9 squared, and you can get it for 15% off if you use the code SPICE on that volleyballstore.com.
Yep, that volleyballstore.com is the new URL. Links in the description. Use the code SPICY. Get your gear. Some of that gear you could get includes Daddy Stankovic. Oh yes, we've got the Daddy Stankovic collection available in the store right now, and as you all know, every week we get to hide our favorite human being ever. Daddy Stankovic is hidden somewhere in the show, and if you find him and comment where he is, timestamp at the end of the show, you get a shout out. And last week, there is Daddy towards the right side of the Club World Championship celebration for Perugia. I think I put him on top of Roberto Russo. And several of you found him. Yana XOXO found him first. Then our friend Philip Lauder found him, and Florian Kaviker found him. And we've got that this was a relatively easy Where's Daddy. So you guys found him pretty much no problem. Good job. Remember, if you see Daddy Stankovic in this show, wait until the show is over, then comment in the main YouTube comment section the timestamp of where he is, and we'll circle back to it next week. I will say this is a pretty tough one this week. Tough one this week. Everett, I'll show you where he is after. This is some of my.
I have yet to see it. I have yet to see it.
Well, yeah, maybe he's already shown up. Maybe he'll be in the second half of the show. I'm not going to tell you, but keep your eye out for that beautiful man, Daddy Stankovic, that you see there.
Love that. All right, Rob. Do we want to move forward now? Talk a little bit about some Champions League. The first one actually just started for today for the men's. Zaxa versus Zerot Bank. Matt Anderson just opened things with a block. 1-0 for Zerot Bank. Janusz did get the start for Zaxa, though. So that's a good thing for them, although they're in tough with Szymanski out there.
So we might as well talk about it. This is a photo from this morning, where Alexander Śliwka had successful surgery on his left hand. He broke a bone in his left hand about a week ago. We knew he would be out for several weeks, and I don't know the details, but if you translate his Instagram caption from this morning, he said something about his recovery will be even longer than expected. So it goes from bad to worse for Zaxa as they lose. Just as they get Janusz back, I think that this might be even their most important player other than their setter is Alexander Śliwka. And now they're going to have to fight really, really hard in both the Plusliga and the Champions League. And they're playing Zerot Bank at home literally right now. And so we'll try and wrap up the show as quick as we can and get to being able to focus on that match. But no Śliwka for an extended period of time for the reigning champs. That's rough.
I think this might be like one of the biggest blows for them. Like Janusz, of course, is a massive blow. But right now, like Śliwka kept this team alive for so long and kept this team going for so long. And it just seemed like they were getting things back together. It sounds like from the Discord that what actually happened is that he hurt his finger by pulling on a net 2 weeks ago in a match and being frustrated and pulling on the net, and then he re-hurt it in last week's Champions League match against Roeselare.
Yikes!
So that is a huge break for Zaxa there, and I think we have to talk about it. Are they still a contender both in the Plusliga and in the Champions League without Śliwka? And B, do they go and pick someone up in the winter transfer window?
Oh man, I don't know who's available. Honestly, I don't know who they would go get, but when they have their starting seven, they are a contender to win everything there is to win. But they're not going to have that starting seven now for a good long while with Śliwka being out, and there is volleyball to be played in the meantime. Like, you've got to make the playoffs in the Plusliga. You've got to get out of pools in Champions League. You've got to unless they can beat Zerot Bank at home today with less than their full roster, they're not going to win their pool. Because remember, they already lost in Ankara in 5 a few weeks ago. And if they don't win this game, they'll have 2 losses in their pool. There's no way they're going to take first. They're going to have to play an extra Champions League series. Like, them even getting back to being healthy is the biggest question. Somebody in the chat says, who would have thought that Zaxa's toughest opponent this year would be injury?
Yeah, it would be themselves.
It would be themselves. I mean, it's not that crazy with all the volleyball that we force all of these players to play. And with as condensed as this club season already is, it's not that crazy that people are going to get hurt. Now, we've seen a lot of wear and tear injuries. Looks like Śliwka's was more of like a legitimate, explosive injury of sorts. But yeah, this is a problem. This is a very big problem for Zaxa. This is like full alarm bells, honestly, because like I said, the issue isn't how good they can play when they have everybody available. It's staying alive in the meantime, and then they're going to struggle. They're really going to struggle to do that.
At what point? This kind of reminds me of remember that one? I know you're not a big NBA guy, but there was the one year right before the pandemic where Steph Curry was injured and Thompson was injured, Draymond Green was injured, and the Warriors just kind of you know what? we're just going to shut everything down. We're going to go pick James Wiseman, which was a complete waste. And we're going to go back and win another championship after that. Do you do that if you're Zaxa here at all, or do you just keep pushing through?
Oh man, I wonder if the Polish Federation. Oh, we just lost Everett. Hopefully, he'll be back. I wonder if the Polish Federation is going to have anything to say about that. That's actually a really good question because, like, we were talking about Poland with Melissa Vargas, or sorry, Turkey with Melissa Vargas, and like how they handle. Hey, Everett, welcome back.
My bad. Click by accident on the tab.
I was just saying, like, what do you think the Polish Federation is going to have anything to say about this? Because, like, if the Turkish Federation is going to have some influence over whether or not Melissa Vargas plays club the rest of this year, does the Polish Federation have any influence over what their potential Olympians are doing this club season? Like, is it in the best interest of Polish volleyball to try and run this Zaxa team into the ground to pick up the pieces for a playoff run? Is it worth it for them, or is it in the better interest of Polish volleyball to just look towards the Olympics? I'm honestly not sure. I don't know.
I think the Champions League means more to Poland for some reason. I think all of that, I think just due to the scale of volleyball within Poland, like, that is huge, right? Like, the Plus Liga is massive. But then there's also the other thing. If you're the Polish Federation, and if you look down on that left side, sure, Slivka was your best player this year, but, like, it's a next man up mentality, right? You've still got Bednors. You still have Semeniuk, who's been phenomenal this year. Hell, you have Shalpuk. There's, like, the names go on and on, right? Even if you have Bednors, Semeniuk, and Leon, like, that's as good as any left side pairing in like situation in the world. So no, I think if you're Poland, like, you just let it come back at a normal timeline. They're like, it's not as, like, Poland can win an Olympic gold without Slivka.
Yes, they can.
Turkey can't win an Olympic gold without Melissa Vargas.
Great point. I think you nailed it. So yeah, Zaxa and Ziraat Bank are playing literally right now.
9-6 TV.
Ziraat's up 9-6 in the first. I think, is that the only game today? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, I think so as well.
So a couple other games this week. Not the best week of games, but, like, by this time next week, once 4 out of the 6 weeks are in the books, we'll have a decent picture of what the pools are looking like. Like,
of course,
JSW, Budějovice, whatever. Guaglas at Lundberg is an interesting one because Lundberg now is in the driver's seat to take second in that pool. They just got to beat Guaglas at home and then Budějovice again. Berlin versus Halkbank in Germany will be a very good game. That's tomorrow.
That's a massive game, I think.
For sure.
There's so many implications for that pool.
Rousselari versus Olympiacos is tomorrow. Piacenza versus Benfica is tomorrow, but that's in Italy. Resovia versus Ljubljana. Resovia just picked up Lukasz Kozub, by the way. They pulled in a new backup setter from Katowice, which is interesting. Trentino versus Tours is tomorrow, and then those terrible games in Lube's pool. Lube versus Prague and Mosaic versus Galazzi. Who cares? But so I've got my eyes on Berlin versus Halkbank for sure, and then Zaxa versus Ziraat Bank today.
Yeah, that's about it. I am interested to see Resovia versus Ljubljana. Isn't that? Oh no, it's not a revenge game. Resovia did beat Ljubljana.
Yeah, Resovia lost to Tours, but then they beat Ljubljana, no problem. We'll see if DeFalco is able to play. He hasn't played in a couple of weeks. But honestly, they don't need him. They don't need him to beat Ljubljana. They'll be fine.
No, DeFalco does his thumb?
I'm not sure. I actually haven't heard what it is.
I asked in the Discord, and they told me, and I've forgotten.
Yeah, it was a bummer that to not see him play against Trentino last week.
Yeah, there's just too much going on in the Poland area of the Discord, so you can't really.
Yeah, there is a lot going on. Speaking of Champions League last week, I mean, there were a couple decent games. Resovia did blow it to Trentino, like, especially in that second set to end up getting 3-donged. Zaxa needed 5 to beat Rousselari. That's a little tough. Piacenza beat Berlin in 4, and that was kind of it. Lundberg took a set from JSW. And then got stomped the rest of the way. All right. Well, yeah.
Back injury for TJ.
Is that what it is?
Back injury, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Speaking of Resovia and Zaxa and all this stuff, let's look at the results from the Plusliga last week. Zaxa, unsurprisingly, did lose to Warszawa in 4 without a whole lot of... I actually don't think Schlifke played at all. He was totally unavailable. Katowice 3-donged Radom in the relegation game. Tough look for Radom.
That is a tough one for Rodham for sure.
Luke Lublin beat Olsztyn in 5. That was probably the most competitive game of the week. Let's see. I think Zawiercie, JSW, Resovia all won pretty easily.
Can we? I know Warszawa, they won against Zaxa, who is decimated right now. But how do we feel about this Warszawa team? Is this a legitimate team? I think this is a legit team.
Yeah,
I think this is a team that has championship potential. I really do. They've been playing really well of late.
Yeah, they're very good. Warszawa is very good. I don't know about championship potential. I don't know if I see them beating like. I mean, anybody can beat Resovia in the playoffs when Fabian Giesge is the center, but I don't know if I see them beating like JSW or Zawiercie in a 5-match series. Although I guess there won't be.
It's not a 5-match series,
won't
right?
be any 5-match series. Yeah, good point. So maybe the format plays into their hands a little bit.
And their last 3 wins are against Zaxa, JW, and Zawiercie.
They beat Zawiercie?
They beat Zawiercie. Their only loss is to Skra.
Oh yeah, that's right. They lost to
and they beat Resovia to open the season too. So they've beat all of the best teams in the league.
Respect.
Big respect. I think we need to keep a good eye.
Okay, I mean we are on notice. I mean, Bartłomiej Bołon just having an awesome year. He hit 45% efficiency against Zaxa just now, 22 points. Schalpuk has a case to be one of the best outside hitters in the league. He's playing great. Taylor Averill came off the bench and was really good. I love him. Jan Firle is probably the 2nd or maybe 3rd best setter in the league. Maybe higher than that with Janusz being out. So yeah, Warszawa's for real. I'm on board.
Absolutely on board. Also, that win by Lublin is a huge one there. Lublin is always such an interesting team to watch. They always just stick around, and that win, like they're ahead of both Gdansk and Olsztyn right now.
Wow, that's impressive. Gdansk did just lose a weird game. Yeah, they got 3-donged by Stalnissa, which was a little bit unexpected. But yeah, Lublin's solid. They don't have a whole lot of big names either. I mean, they have Tobias Brand, the German guy, and they have Thales, the Brazilian libero, and Damian Schultz, who I hate, but he actually played well off the bench in this game. Yeah, good for them. And Marcin Komenda is having a good year at setter as well. I've always kind of liked him. Luke Lublin is a whole is greater than the sum of its parts sort of program to me.
Yeah. I mean, I thought they were going to take a big dive after losing because they had
Sherzhen and Jendrik and Dustin Watton, and yeah, they lost all those guys, and they're still solid. Are they in playoff position? Oh yeah, they're 5th.
Oh yeah,
wow.
They're 5th. Like they're right in the thick of things. Like they're only 5 points behind Zawiercie.
Good for them.
Yeah, and tied with Gdansk, and they got 3 points on Olsztyn as well.
Anything else about the Plusliga? I have one more thing about Polish volleyball, and then we can kind of wrap up the show and go watch Zaxa play Champions League. And that is that, as we kind of suspected, the 2024 Men's VNL Finals will be in Łódź, Poland, at the Great Atlas Arena in very late June. They're getting it in as early as they can before the Olympics. I've seen people online complaining that Poland keeps getting to host these sorts of things. Why would you
give it to Poland?
Yeah, why would you complain about this? They're the best event host in the world, in my opinion, and they're by far on the men's side the most likely to pack the stands for every game, even when their home team isn't playing.
100%, absolutely.
It's a no-brainer.
The people are complaining are just Texas Longhorn fans.
Yeah, I mean, if you're salty about your country not getting this, then when you do get to host things, you people need to show up to games. You need to show up to games when your team isn't playing. That's what Poland does better than anybody in the world.
I just can't wait until the time, Rob, when Canada hosts a World League Finals or Nations League Finals.
That would be awesome. That'd be
Yeah,
awesome, but I
it
don't
may.
even know if that would do like. And people in Ottawa have been good about coming to games when Canada isn't playing, but nowhere near as good as they do it in Poland.
No,
Nowhere even
absolutely
close.
not. It's not. It's not. It's apples to oranges. But why can't fruit be compared? I still don't get that. There is one thing I want to bring up here, and it was brought to my attention thanks to our lovely Discord. I want to talk about the French Cup real quick.
Oh,
Now, the French Cup and like the cups around the world are all a little bit different. And now what I really like about the French Cup is that it encapsulates, it's very much like the FA Cup. It encapsulates everyone. So in the first round of the French Cup, there was a bit of an upset. Conflans Andrézy Jouy VB, which is basically like a school. They play in the third division of the French league, beat Ajaccio. And Ajaccio is, even though they're in the second division now, has always been a very solid team. And that's absolutely awesome. So big ups for them. In the second round, Rob, by the way, it was a 3-dong. In the second round, Rob, who do you think they played?
they beat Khan, it appears, in another 3-dong.
They beat Khan in another 3-dong. So you have
Is this a school team?
basically a school team. From what the little information, like you pull up their website and it's like literally like the first thing is like more information, like, and it looks like a school team. Ville de Conflans Saint-Honorine. Yeah, like this looks like it could be a high school, and they're out here winning games in the French Cup against Cons, which is just hilarious.
I do kind of like when you have the domestic cup encompass all the levels. Like they don't do it in Italy, but they do it in Poland. Like the early rounds of the Polish Cup include everybody. I think the earliest rounds of the German Cup do as well.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's cool. It's cool. They're the VLA Cup encompasses all the levels.
Yeah. I know you guys. You want to put yourself up there with those guys. It's just funny because like in the French, like I saw a clip recently in the French Cup for soccer, and because France has all of these like colonies everywhere, you've got these like pro like just little like community teams, and one of them drew like PSG, and they just went nuts. Like imagine like being like you're just playing on like your like local team like for fun on Sundays and have some beers, and then all of a sudden you're playing against PSG. That would be awesome.
Imagine playing soccer and celebrating a tie. Worst sport in the world.
Isn't there ties in the NFL?
Yeah, and there shouldn't be. It sucks. We almost had one over the weekend. All right.
Wasn't there a field goal like right as time was expiring
in overtime? Yeah. I hate ties. They're so stupid. If you have a way to break the tie, break the tie. It's the thing. Soccer has a way to break the tie. They just don't do it. The only fun part about soccer is a shootout. You have that. You just don't do it. I don't get that. Anyway, that's our show. Let's all go together and join the Volleyball Source Discord for one. Links in the description.
Wow.
And two, go and watch the Champions League, Zaxa versus Ziraat Bank right now.
Or maybe not. It's 20-14.
Oh no. Well, we're gonna go watch it, see if Zaxa can take a set and keep their chances alive to win this pool. But
it's crazy how many people in the chat are being like, Zaxa is struggling this season. It's like Zaxa is an infirmary. They might as well just give up their team bus for an ambulance.
They probably should.
Be like, people
need to watch this show.
Oh, Chitigoy is in.
Oh, he's back?
Just to serve.
Oh,
his left hand is severely taped.
Okay, so you can probably do nothing but serve.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's all go watch Zaxa. Thanks for watching the show, people. Merry Christmas for those of you who
Merry
celebrate.
Christmas, yes.
Merry Christmas. It's on Monday. We'll be back next Wednesday, I think is our consensus. Wednesday the 27th. Bless you, Everett. We will see you guys on Wednesday. Enjoy the Christmas season. Happy holidays. Enjoy like 6 games at the same time in Italy on Monday or on Tuesday. We'll see you for the last show of the year next Wednesday the 27th.
Yep, absolutely. And it's funny, Rob, last year, the Christmas season gave us the firing of Bernardi. This year, I want the firing of Stoichev.
All I want for Christmas is Gianni to Verona. See you, people. Happy holidays. We'll see you next week.
Peace.